Hi everyone, welcome back to our daily clues by Sam. We have an easy one today, but I'm thinking about doing another one from the pack after we finish this one, so let's see how long this takes. And if you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it's a daily logic puzzle game where you have 20 people on a board. Some of them may be criminals, the other ones are innocents, and you gotta figure out who is what using the clues that each person gives you. And I'm here every day doing this. You're welcome to try as well. There is a link in the description for the daily one for today. It's an easy one, so I'm sure you can do it. If you get stuck or if you just want to follow along, we can start right now. Let's go. We start with Olaf telling us that Larry is one of 4 criminals in column B. Larry is a criminal then, and there's another 3 in column B and 2 innocents. Now Larry tells us that there are no innocents below Henry who neighbor Maria. Maria is here. People below Henry that also neighbor Maria are Larry and Peter, so none of them are innocents, which means that Peter is one of the 4 criminals in column B. And now Peter tells us that only one of the 2 innocents above Ruby is Isaac's neighbor. Isaac is also above Ruby. So if one of the people above Ruby is Isaac's neighbor, Isaac has to be the second innocent there. Otherwise, there wouldn't be room for a second innocent. So Isaac's for sure an innocent, and either Maria or Carol, who neighbor Isaac and are above Ruby, are the second one. Now Isaac tells us there are exactly 2 innocents in column C. And we know that those 2 innocents are Isaac and someone else here, so both Ruby and Xavier have to be criminals. And now Ruby tells us there are exactly 2 innocents above Maria, so we know that Carol and Isaac are those 2. And Maria is a criminal since there's only 2 innocents in column C. Now, Carol tells us that only one of the 2 innocents in row 5 is Olaf's neighbor. So Olaf has 2 people neighboring him in row 5, Tina and Uma. Only one of them is an innocent. There has to be another innocent in row 5, so Zed is the only person who could be that innocent. And now Zed tells us there's an odd number of criminals neighboring Peter. Peter so far has Larry, Maria, Ruby, and Xavier. That's 4 criminals. The 5th one is gonna be here, either Timna or Uma. There could be a 6th one who would be Karen, but then Peter would have an even number of criminal neighbors, so Karen couldn't be a criminal. She has to be an innocent. Now Karen tells us that everyone has at least 1 criminal neighbor. Like so far everyone has 1 criminal neighbor except for Carol. So if we think about Carol and the fact that there's 2 innocents in column B, but that doesn't mean that Carol couldn't have an innocent, a criminal neighbor here, right? Seth has 1 criminal neighbor. Ruby has to have 1 as well. Olaf already has 1. Peter already has a lot of them. Larry already has a lot of them. Maria already has a lot of them. And Ruby. Xavier as well already has 2 of them. So who are we talking about except for Carol? Couldn't be Tina? What am I not seeing? Only one of the 2 innocents in row 5 is Olaf's neighbor. That's okay. No innocents below Henry who neighbor Maria. That's done. 2 innocents above Ruby. That's done as well. Two innocents above Maria. That's done. Odd number of criminals neighboring Peter. Yeah, we know that's 5. 4 criminals in column B. So let me try to tag this. Bonnie and Henry. If both of them are criminal. Because the clue is telling us that everyone has at least one criminal neighbor. Who doesn't have a criminal neighbor? Andre is for sure gonna have one, because there is for sure gonna be one criminal here, since there has to be 4 in column B. Freya already has one, Karen already has one, Olaf already has one. Carol is the same logic as Andre, she's gonna have at least one here. Isaac is gonna have at least. Isaac already has 2, so that doesn't matter. Maria already has 3. I don't know who to look at. Oh, Ellie. That was in my face all of that time. Ellie tells us, oh, not Ellie, but Jerry now tells us that Ellie has more innocent neighbors than Susan. Ellie has 2 innocent neighbors, so Susan has to have less than that. And Susan already has 1. That's less than 2, but she couldn't have any more, so Nick has to be a criminal. And now Nick tells us that Tina and Ellie have an equal number of criminal neighbors. That's 1. Ellie has 1 criminal neighbor, and she couldn't have any more. So Tina only could have 1 as well. That's Peter, so Uma is an innocent, and because of Uma, Tina is a criminal. Now Uma tells us that only one person in column B has exactly 5 criminal neighbors. That's Peter. Peter has 5 criminal neighbors. So we know that neither Henry or Bonnie could have 5 criminal neighbors, or Larry for that matter. Larry so far has 3. Oh, these 2 are both criminals, because column B has to have 4 criminals. Olaf told us that. Now Larry has 4 criminal neighbors, and we already know that Peter is the person in column B who has 5, so Larry couldn't have a 5th one, which means that Freya is an innocent. And now Freya tells us that no one in the edges has more than 3 innocent neighbors. One on the edges. Who could have more than 3 innocent neighbors? It couldn't be Olaf, it couldn't be Karen, it couldn't be Carol, it couldn't be Zed. Oh, it couldn't be Bonnie. If Andre were to be an innocent, then Bonnie would have more than 3 innocent neighbors, so Andre has to be a criminal. Now Andre tells us there are 7 innocents in total on the whole board. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So both of these guys are criminals, and we are done. An easy one that took a little bit more time because I got lost there. I forgot about that clue. Not about the clue, but I didn't scan that well. I was thinking about the people who were already assigned roles, and I should have looked at the ones who were still gray. But nonetheless, we did it in on green in less than 8 minutes. And shall we do a hard one from the puzzle pack number 1? We may try. So I have puzzle number 45 from the puzzle pack number 1 here, and I want to try to do this one. I want to get into the harder ones eventually, so the next one is a brutal one, which is exciting. But for now, let's just combo these 2 together. And let me just restart so that we get the time from 0, and now we get Carol telling us that only one of the 2 innocents neighboring Bobby is her neighbor. Bobby and Carol share 2 people as neighbors, and only one of them is an innocent. The other one is a criminal, and also among Amy and Ellie. There's another innocent who neighbor Bobby. That's what Carol is telling us, that there's 2 innocents neighboring Bobby. One of them is her neighbor. How is that helping us? How is that helping us? So Diane and Hank, is the clue telling me that she doesn't have any more innocents neighboring her? Because that doesn't make sense. Only one of the two innocents neighboring Bobby is my neighbor. Oh, I'm so stupid. Carol is an innocent, which means that both Amy and Ellie are criminals. Since the second innocent neighbor for Bobby is gonna be down here, but the first one is Carol. Oh my god. Now Amy tells us that Bobby has more innocent neighbors than Mark, which means that Mark has no more than one innocent neighbor. Mark's down here and he has 5 neighbors total, so we don't know who is the single innocent, if there is one. Ellie now tells us that the odd number of innocents in column B neighbor Mark. Well, so the single innocent that neighbors Mark is in column B among Janet, Nicole, and Terry. And both Isaac and Susan have to be criminals. Now Isaac tells us there's an equal number of innocents in rows 3 and 5. 3 is here and 5 is here. Okay. Susan now tells us there are more innocent builders and innocent sleuths. There's a builder in each of those 2 rows, row 3 and row 5. And there's one sleuth. Any other sleuths? There's one criminal sleuth here, Ellie. How many sleuths are there in total? There's only 2 sleuths. So that means that doesn't mean anything because all 3 builders are here in column B are neighboring Mark, which means that there's only one innocent builder for sure because there has to be one innocent neighboring Mark and they are gonna be a builder. And since there are more innocent builders and innocent sleuths, then there couldn't be any innocent sleuths because the only number that's less than 1 is 0, so Laura is a criminal. Which means there's another criminal in row 5 because row 5 and row 3 are equal in number. Laura tells us now that Mark has more innocent neighbors than Amy, which means that Amy has no innocent neighbors. Where's Amy? Here. So Freya and Bobby are both criminal and Gabe is an innocent because of Freya. Now Bobby tells us that Nicole and Wally have only one innocent neighbor in common. Nicole and Wally. Nicole and Wally share Terry and Olivia. And only one of them is an innocent. But we don't know who. It could be Terry. And Freya now tells us that exactly one innocent neighboring Wally is Builder. It could be Nicole. So that means or does it mean that either Terry or Nicole are innocent? It does, and it does tell us that Janet is a criminal, since there has to be an innocent here. Now Janet tells us that column A has more criminals than any other columns. Column A. We know that column B is gonna have 4 criminals. There's 3 already here, and there's gonna be one more, there's 4. So everyone in column A has to be a criminal, so there are more criminals than 4. Mark is a criminal then. And now Mark tells us there's an odd number of innocents in row 5. So there could be only one innocent. Because row 3 has 3. 0 is an even number? I think so. Because it comes before 1. I don't know. I don't know enough about math to say that. But we know for sure now that Keith is going to be an innocent since there's one innocent in row 5. What else? Keith now tells us that exactly 4 of the 11 criminals on the edges are Olivia's neighbors. 11 criminals on the edges. And 4 of them are Olivia's neighbors. Olivia has 5 people neighboring her on the edges. Only one of them is an innocent. How many criminals do we have on the edges already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with Laura. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3 more here, so that's 10. Which means that either Hank or Diane are a criminal and the other one's an innocent. But what does that lead us to? Do we have to do some tagging? Equal number of innocents in rows 3 and 5, which means there's only one innocent. Oh, there for sure is gonna be there. It's gonna be for sure an innocent here in row 5, right? So that means that Ronald couldn't be the single innocent that neighbors Olivia on the edge, which means that Ronald is a criminal. And now Ronald tells us there are more criminal painters than criminal pilots. How many pilots do we have? 3. And 3 painters. There's 2 painters who are criminals and 2 pilots. More criminal painters than criminal pilots means that at least one pilot has to be an innocent. So that we have more innocents than painters. And the last painter that we have, or could we have both of these be innocents? I guess I didn't think about that, so I should. It's a hard one after all. Do I need Susan's school anymore? No, I don't. Let's stall a bit. I don't need Mark's school anymore, I don't think. I don't think I need Janet's anymore either. Or this one. Now Ronald. Criminal painters and criminal pilots. Let's say that Wally is an innocent. Then Xavier is a criminal. And Terry as well. Because there could only be one innocent in row 5. Yeah, but now for sure there has to be one innocent here, so that doesn't really matter. Unless Wally were to be a criminal. I guess no painters could be innocents. Because there's no way for there to be more innocent pilots than innocent painters. Because there's no way for 2 pilots to be innocents if there is an innocent painter. Which is this person is the only painter who could be innocent. Xavier. So yeah, Xavier couldn't be an innocent in any way. What else? Xavier. Susan and Hank have an equal number of criminal neighbors. Hank? Where Hank? Hank is here and Susan's here. We know that Susan is going to have 2 criminal neighbors, Mark and someone else here, so that's 2. That means that Hank has to have 2 criminal neighbors as well, so far he only has Laura, And he could only have 2 if Diane were to be a criminal as well, so that means that Hank is innocent. And now Diane tells me that there's an odd number of innocents neighboring Wally. And that innocent's gonna be either Nicole or Terry, so we know that Olivia is a criminal. And now, what else do we know? Do we know that there couldn't be, how many criminal painters we have? 3, so that clue doesn't matter anymore. Neither does this one. Nicole and Wally have one innocent neighbor in common, so that has to be Terry. Which means that Nicole isn't a criminal and Wally is a criminal as well. Oof. I did manage to get an all green one with less than 11 minutes. I was hoping this would take a little bit of a short time so that we could combo both videos in one, and I hope you enjoy this. Next time we try this, I'm gonna try a brutal one. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, that will be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with more Clues by Sam.